Hello, I'm Brigantia Blackbird of Blackbird's Brew. Happy Sunday and welcome to this week's video on the god Bragi. We're going to be focusing on what we know, which is granted not a whole lot, about his marriage to the goddess Idunn. It's only very briefly mentioned in the lore so far as what I've been able to find, and if you have additional resources, I would really appreciate it if you would point me into their general direction because I would like to learn more and, as much as what is possible to know given the fact that we do have incomplete records, shall we say, about our ancient mythologies. Now, what we know about Idunn is that she was the daughter of a dwarf who was named Ivaldi. It is believed that her mother may have been a Valkyrie, which could account for why Idunn lived amongst the Aesir rather than amongst the dwarves. But as with everything else, apparently there's a little cause for doubt on that score. But moving on. We do know that Idunn is a sister of the blacksmiths, who made first Freyr's ship. Freyr's ship is a ship that always had a very good wind, and it could be folded up to fit into Freyr's pocket. Very, very handy-dandy mode of transportation. They also made Odin's spear, Gungnir, which will be used in Ragnarok. And they made Sif's golden hair because, of course, after Loki cut her hair, she kind of needed a little bit more hair to work with, and the dwarves were ultimately the ones who made that for her. It's also possible that these brothers of Idunn made Freya's necklace, which is called Bringsenden. But, again, one of those iffy points. It is possible, though. I have read that Idunn is also the sister of the goddess Nanna, who we will remember is the wife of Baldur and the mother of Forseti. Now, when it comes to Idunn and Bragi having children of their own, I haven't seen that mentioned anywhere. And again, if you are watching this and you have access to resources that do mention them having children, I would love to read about them because I think it would be interesting to see what these kids would have been like and what area of concern they would have been charged with or tasked with or found themselves getting involved with as far as the doings of the Norse gods. I found that Idunn has possible different names. One of those would be Astara, and when we do our video series on Astara in March, I'll go in a little bit to that possible connection as well as the controversy about calling the spring equinox Astara in of itself. So stay tuned for that. Coming attractions. So, when it comes to the marriage of Bragi and Idunn, what we are seeing is the union of the poet and the healer, which I think is very interesting. The poet, you might say, is the one who heals the wounds of the soul, and a physical healer, of course, is with healing the wounds of the body. So there's a nice, natural, complementary core interest there. Because Bragi, as we know, he was the god of poetry and music, and Idunn was the goddess of youth, of newness, renewal, and vitality. She is the keeper of the apples, and these are the apples that keep the gods, young and vital in their full strength and immortal. So the union seems very natural. It seems to make sense that these are people who would simply have just been naturally drawn together, would have come together, and that ultimately their relationship would end in marriage. I don't think I don't think you would have had to have arranged it. I'll put that. And one of the reasons that make them, such a natural pair is because both of these deities embrace the lighter and the more enjoyable aspects of life. And I suspect that this would be one of the reasons why both Bragi and Idunn were held in such high regard amongst the Aesir. They made the hard times easier and the good times even better. And keep in mind that the Norse gods were no strangers to challenges. Their mythology is defined by the challenges that they faced. So having two deities amongst them all who could rise above all of that and say, yes, there are these troubles we have dealt with. Yes, we all have our battle scars and our wounds and things we need to deal with. But then there's all the other aspects of life. And this is what we are fighting for. And this is why we are trying to bring those aspects of life, the music, the poetry, the being healed, being whole, enjoying life, and just the fact of being alive. That is what we are trying to bring back into focus and keep as a reminder of this represents what we are fighting for. It's not a small thing. So what can we learn from this seemingly idyllic pairing? Because despite being so well suited and being so well spoken of in the lore, they don't really come across as being saccharine or too good to be true, or one of those infamous couples on social media who are forever posting pictures and love notes and making all the rest of us vomit with how wonderful and perfect their relationship is. And then a few months later, it all collapses in on itself, thus proving that things were perhaps not as perfect on the inside as the image they were projecting on the outside. But again, that isn't the vibe that I get from this pairing. I think Bragi and Idunn are two people who naturally flow well together. They share common and complementary priorities and interests, and as a result, there were beautiful things, a good relationship, a strong marriage, being well thought of in their community. It just was a natural byproduct of it. And I think there are some couples who come together in that way, that they just naturally flow well together. And then it just grows in this very soft, very quiet, very non-public way. It doesn't need a whole lot. It doesn't need spectators. And, a strong relationship is forged. That's what I see in Bragi and Idunn, and it seems to have worked out for them. I haven't read about either party having affairs, and if you know something different from the lore, again, please bring that to my attention. I am trying to learn more. But from what I have, the information that I have in front of me right now, what I see is that they built a very strong and affectionate marriage, and it lasted longer than other divine marriages we could point to, both within the Norse pantheon and in other pantheons. So I think that's something to contemplate. But I also think that's about all I can really bring to the table about Bragi and Idunn at this particular moment. So if you enjoyed this, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment, and if you would like to carry on this discussion about Bragi, Idunn, the Norse gods, or anything to do with paganism or witchcraft, please come see me at Blackbird's Brew on Discord. There is a link to join in the description box below. But for the meantime, I think that's enough for me. Hope you have a good day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.